Hello, Glitchrippy here, back for another mob battle, and this one's going to be premiering the Pharaoh from Atum 2. Yeah, that's right, if any of you remember the original Atum mod where it was all about the desert and a special dimension, then yeah, that's back now. It's probably going to be adding more over time, but from what I'm seeing of it so far, it's already looking cooler than it even was the first time. So this is going to be pretty cool. And to celebrate that, I want to do mob battles with the Pharaoh. Yeah, that's right. The boss of the Atum is also back, and I wanted to show that off in these newer versions. It actually came back not too terribly long ago, so it's kind of something that's still a bit freshly back on the board. It skipped so many versions because like the last version Atum was in was 1.7.10, and ignore those guys. They were here from some other testing that involved Baracco, so they may be wandering around a bit. But yeah, up against them I've got Sphinx from Mob Battle 3, Locust, and the Antlion Trove Guardian from Erebus. Sorry, I could not get the full bosses, the Antlion Overlord and the Tarantula Broodmother to work out because for some odd reason with their hitboxes they could not hit each other at all. And I'll show something funny about that later because there's something that's just ridiculous. And we have the dreadful Peat Mummy from Betweenlands, so it's all very Egyptian and desert themed as far as I can think for this. So I've got a few. So it's kind of premiere fight. Those usually are a little shorter, usually. But they can also be a lot longer if I've got like a lot of ideas of just throwing around testing, so that can go both ways. But anyhow, here we have the Pharaoh, and they have distinctive looks. Like if I have a new Pharaoh each time, he won't necessarily look like this, and they also all have their own name. So that's going to be pretty cool to see. So let's start up with the Sphinx from Mob Battle 3, which, as you can tell, is already a high-tier mob on its own. So just making sure I got everything reset. And let's have them fight each other here. You've seen previously me showing off how Mob Battle 3 mobs of its highest tier are pretty much elite, so this should give you a good idea of what's going on here. Because right now, he's kind of whooping on him. And he does throw down a couple of status effects whenever he attacks. I've noticed he tends to kind of wither things away and try to set them on fire. So he hits them with the pure power of the desert. And that Sphinx is down. This one has only suffered not quite 50 points of damage. Like he had about 45 points of damage whenever that ended. So that shows that could be pretty quick. I mean, he's got a lot of attack power, and you can also see he does self-repair. So that would be an interesting fight. There's also something you didn't get to see there that hopefully will show up against another mob. So let's see another Pharaoh. This one's definitely all gold. This is a particularly swank Pharaoh. So you've got things going on. I should be moving these out of the way for later, actually, because there's a few things I'll need a few spots for. So yeah, and here's a Locust, kind of considered a mini boss from Erebus. Yeah, it likes to fly around and hop. So you can imagine a rather large bug fighting you in the Erebus. But it just gets kind of walloped by the Pharaoh. Just look at that damage ratio there. He's dealing like 11 plus and it's dealing like 3. So he just melts through many bosses. So, but we have bigger. We do have bigger, like lots bigger, including a different one just from the same mod. So I'm gonna clear that up, and I will show why I was having issues in testing before pretty soon, actually. Because this won't take long. So let's pop the Locust over here. Have the Antlion Trove Guardian. And also kind of a mini boss. It got 100 HP, so it's nothing to sneeze at there. Now we have the Pharaoh back for business, and this one's a bit more in purple. Yeah, got the classic royal coloring. Because the dye they used to make purple, it was not easy to find back then. These days, we got it easy. And now he's just smashing onto the Trove Guardian, but you can tell that this particular fight isn't quite as biased in terms of damage, because it's dealing about the same back. In fact, he's dealing less damage to it than it is to him. But he is recovering, and that certainly throws things the other way. He hasn't fought long enough to use his special ability yet, which I find interesting. But this Trove Guardian's at least giving him an effort. Okay, let's see how much that turned out to be. Okay. Definitely more damage than he took from the Sphinx, but still not quite 50 points of damage. We're getting there. Just not there yet. But this ought to do it. Yeah, I've got the dreadful peat mummy going, so let's see what another pharaoh looks like, because again, they have all these alternate looks they can have. So they have all these alternate skins. This one's a bit more red. So, yeah, it's interesting. It's just interesting how it comes up each time. This is a cool animation. Oh, I missed the best spot. Trust me, it'll be cooler if I just take a moment here. Yep, I'll go away for a second. I wanted to show it off cooler, but I missed my mark. Sorry. Okay. Pharaoh, and watch this. Dreadful Peat Mummy rises out of the ground and can take whatever texture it is to make this like a breaking animation. So it even does it for the mark on those demon crystals. So I just thought that looked extra cool that way. Now, I mean, this thing doesn't look as much like a mummy as it does like a demon, so I kind of had to do it on a pentagram. It's just too thematic. I had to. And this guy's a bit more kind of greenish. Anyhow, time to rampage. It's summoned a minion, because it summoned a peat mummy. He's zonking it with things. It's yelling in his face. Aha! Here we go. He summons his own mummies. So it's minions versus minions. Is that screaming? Oh my gosh. That is definitely going to come up in the future. I just know it. But he is dealing some pretty good damage and vice versa. Like, these two are... Well, they're actually dealing small amounts of damage, but very rapidly. He's recovering. It isn't, but... I think... But it has more HP. So it may be able to outlast him. Where's his... Oh, he's actually just about out. His minions are just spamming him too much. He was unable to deal with the army, but look at that damage it's taking. He deals like several status ailments at once whenever he hits. And these things are still screaming. I mean, there's nothing around for them to aggro on. I'm in creative, and yet they're still screaming. So these things just like to shriek a lot. So that's the thing. We did find what could defeat the Pharaoh out of these. But there will be probably more in the future with the Pharaoh, and for that matter, with the dreadful peat mummy, because that thing is nasty. Right now, it's actually at the King of the Desert category. So that was fast. But I just wanted to illustrate that this guy is pretty strong, because he can deal with an iron golem, and I'm going to prove that real fast here. Because they're a nice standard. Oh, I've got another red one. Okay. That's fair. And as you could imagine, iron golems do not require me to use the Mob Enrager. So my wand will not be getting used right now. Just give it a moment, and... Here we go. Now, they are dealing good damage to each other, but he's got more HP. And he has minions to distract it. And there it goes. It was nearly half down, but it just shows that he is strong enough to take out an iron golem. That is the thing about the Pharaoh, is they will take out iron golems. And yeah, even if I'm doing something I know is not going to actually interact, I've got to... I've just got to see all these alternates if I can. I think I may have seen them all. But here's why it doesn't work with the Antlion Overlord. And I've kind of got to illustrate this specifically because it's kind of funny. We have just one of those hilarious, like, haha moments in mob battles. That does happen on occasion. So we have a Pharaoh. And this one's a bit more of a lighter green. Okay. Now... watch what happens whenever I try to get him to fight this thing. Yeah, this will never end. they will never hurt each other. It's like he's taking the antlion for a walk. Yeah, it's literally like he's taking his pet antlion overlord just for a casual walk. And it's just going, okay, I'll scurry this way. And he's like, yeah, we're just doing our march. We're having our walkies. So it's like, this is just, I mean, this is just funny. It's just like, really? So somehow the hitbox works out so that this is a thing. But you can tell I did get him to try, and he is trying to run for it, but it just keeps getting pushed away, and they will never impact each other. Like, it doesn't seem to want to attack him even though I've started it, and he can't really attack it, so he just takes the antlion for a walk. It's just funny. I love that. It was just, really? So that's just one of the humorous moments that you just kind of find out in testing, etc., and I just had to show that off. But yeah, so far we had some interesting fights with the Pharaoh versus some various desert-themed major enemies, including mini-bosses, and for that matter, a bit of a high-tier elite. I got to show off just how it compares with an Iron Golem, so kind of giving it a bit of a premiere is showing off some of the things about how it's going to work out. And of course, when it comes to full bosses, the dreadful Peat Mummy shows it's probably going to be more the real king of the desert for quite some time, and I'm probably going to throw that into some other fights to see how well it goes. But yeah, that was one that was decently powerful too. So right now, the Pharaoh and the dreadful Peat Mummy are showing that, well, Egyptian style is back in Minecraft. So yeah, for now, I'll be logging off. This has been Glitch Reaver. Hope to hear from y'all later, and bye for now, everybody.